This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com podcasts, where we welcome in our whole crew. We want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July as that's coming up this week. Hopefully you get to spend some time with your family and loved ones. I know July 4th probably in this office and on this podcast, probably most of our contributors' favorite holiday of the year, if not maybe second.
Yeah, I would say top 3 for sure.
I mean, celebrating our Lord, obviously.
Christmas is awesome.
I like
Thanksgiving's awesome.
Thanksgiving's
just the
my
football
top
aspect of it. But favorite summer holiday for sure.
Now, I don't
know,
like
what would that
George.
be? Like Memorial Day would
George,
be in there?
you are becoming a grill guy. So are you doing festivities and grilling on July 4th?
I'll be with my future in-laws out at Grand Lake this weekend, so I think they will be the ones. They got a big green egg out there, and
people who have them swear by them.
I will probably let them do the grilling.
Josh, what are you just gonna? Do you just magically transport to Orlando on July 4th, or what?
Oh God, no! Thank God that there's no Orlando for me in the year of our Lord 2025. So, no, I am. We've got kind of a weird week this week because we're going on vacation on the 5th. So the 3rd, we're going out to my in-laws and gonna, I think probably do some ribs and stuff like that out there. And then the 4th will be at our house and, fireworks and hot dogs and hamburgers. But can't go that crazy because we have to be up at the crack of dawn to get everything in order to get to the airport and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you'll need to leave like 3 hours early because if any indication of the Houston traffic over the holiday weekend, what I was involved with last weekend, just leave early.
Yeah, Eddie
I don't know how you guys do
Eddie
that.
went and cursed the Cubs last weekend.
It's not good. They did not play well. I went to 2 games. They got their ass beat in both games.
Eddie, the thing I will tell you that is true, like you get used to it after a while. The thing when it's scary is when there's a presidential visit and like a whole highway just shuts down and everybody then is like flooding out to all these places they don't normally go. That's a nightmare scenario. That is truly awful.
I did it to myself though. I was kind of in the thick of it, and I hit rush hour right at 4:00 in downtown area. Did not go well. Did not. I didn't. Yeah. I succeeded to get to where I needed to be, but it did not go well.
Yeah, that's a special.
Tiffany makes fun of me because I'm like, we either leave real early on a weekday or we wait until like 9:30 or 10 and then we're on the road.
It was a good time though. I went to El Tiempo. It was unbelievable as per usual.
I need to get down
Never
there.
fails.
Just for I'll go visit you, Josh, and set some stuff up just for El Tiempo.
I think it's going to be a total front. I know exactly what you're coming down for, and that's perfectly okay.
I haven't done the old style carnitas or whatever you call them, like that you got last time I was there.
They're all crispy. Theirs are ridiculously good.
We did find. I don't know. We found something else. I mean, maybe we knew this, and George and I just overlooked it. But Eddie has been wall to wall Wimbledon since it started in the office. And George, I think you were like, when did you start carrying? We knew Bob was that way.
I will say I don't really care. More so, I just like watching it.
He needs something to gamble on.
Not really. I haven't gambled on any of it.
Well, that's.
I like watching it.
Have we all seen the video of the two guys calling into the gambling anonymous hotline and they're betting on whether it's a man or a woman.
Yes,
that
I've
will
seen
answer the
that.
phone.
It's hilarious.
That feels such Eddie energy to me. Like I feel like Eddie. Has
I would
made
not.
That bet at
I would
some point or
not be
another.
involved in something like that. I have seen the video though. It's very funny.
It's pretty funny. Outside of that, the Thunder adulation continues. Free agency has started, and everybody's trying to catch up with the Thunder. But I thought I would recognize the Thunder here at the beginning, Eddie, since I got in trouble.
That
last
was.
week.
It's been a good run. I feel like today's the first day in like 9 days that there hasn't been any positive Thunder news that needs to get out there. I saw Jaydn Ott was up at Chet's summer camp, kids camp, which I thought was kind of cool. He went all the way up to Minnesota.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been great. Now that SGA's locked in, you could probably do a lot of things at Oklahoma City with $71 billion annually.
And shout out to J-Dub for playing through an injury that nobody really knew about.
Unbelievable. I was part of the crew. I wasn't the they need to trade him, but I was definitely, can he do this? And not only did he do it, but he did
put
it
up
on a torn
40
ligament.
with a bad wrist. Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was awesome.
So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Live in the Thunder championship run.
Did you get your
for a while
Simple
now.
Modern stuff yesterday?
Not yet. I think it will be delivered, I would bet, early next week.
I do like the Brom shirt, though.
The Brom shirt
Brom
is
shirts are
fantastic.
awesome.
We'll
I'm
have to get
rocking
a
it today.
picture. By the way, I have a question for you, George. And this is for all you, Josh, everyone. I was thinking today, because we were talking about, I was talking with one of our ad sales people about William and Lauren and what they want to do for the upcoming season. And I was thinking, like, well, we need to get a picture of George and all of his groomsmen, with their suits. But I don't remember. I've been a best man in a wedding, Josh. I don't remember them, like, taking groomsmen photos.
Well, they definitely do.
Oh, yeah.
Do they do that?
Yeah.
Because I don't
I've got
I don't
one.
have one of those.
The
I don't have
entire
that photo.
afternoon to get them done, or at least the weddings that I've been in.
I know for us next weekend, the photos we've got multiple lined up for the groomsmen and the bridesmaids.
I think nowadays,
I
that's
literally have the picture.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
wow.
on my
Wow.
desk.
Pulled it
Yeah,
up.
a bunch of mine. So
Introducing the new Volvo XC90 with 7-seat versatility, Google built-in, and advanced safety features for all your precious cargo. The new Volvo XC90, designed for life. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
I think nowadays too, like the photographer, that's part of the allotment that you're paying them. They get every single type of photo that you
Yep.
could think of.
And we know George has paid a lot for his photography. Is
Correct.
that all? Does the
think
price
all
include
wedding-
the wedding? You have to pay again.
What do you mean?
Like, you paid for the engagement photos. Was the price
That
that
was
you paid
part of it. It
for
was a
everything?
part of a package.
Okay.
yeah.
But give me some.
But she's great,
decent
by the way.
pics.
Our photographers.
She did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
We'll
went
have to get
very
a scoop.
stylized with your, which is fine because, like, those are really just for you.
Yes. But we'll have to get a scoop pic. I think everybody will be there, but
We can
but
Photoshop Josh in.
I love that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
text our new guy.
We'll take Andrew and just have him sit in and then
was gonna
put
say,
Josh's face on
I was
him.
gonna text Andrew or Harry that they could come. Maybe Andrew and Harry. could come.
Andrew would look more like Josh. He's not as tall, but Harry is a very slight of frame individual. It would look
And-
like
and
Josh's
super
giant
gingery,
head would not
that I
fit.
do not have.
Yeah. So, no. Looking forward to the wedding. We're what? How many days? Man, we are so close.
10 days.
10.
Any thoughts being this close?
Exciting. I'm ready for it to just happen. It's the wedding itself.
It better go off. I'm telling you right now. I'm missing a golf tournament because of it.
You have all summer to golf, Eddie.
Not this tournament.
It's just there's a lot that goes into it, and Aaron's done a lot of it, and we didn't have a planner until about 2 months out, and our planner's helping us with stuff like just the timeline and making sure everything runs smoothly. But there's just a lot of little details that sneak up on you, and you're like, oh shit, we have to do that. But I think we're good, and I think we're excited. I think we're ready to just, not that it's like we want it to be over, but it is one of those things where it's like, let's get married and
At least get to the day, right?
yes, yeah.
All right. I'll address one thing before we get into it, the heavy stuff. But the On3 rivals thing, I mean, it's gone well. I mean, you guys have behaved yourselves pretty well for the most part. Some of you guys are being jerks, and we expected that because, we're jerks sometimes, and we attract jerks. So But overall, it's not the most ideal situation. I said that in the post on the board. But On3 went out and purchased Rivals. They have, we're not the only site that's having two sites. Nebraska has it. I think Auburn has it.
Michigan.
Georgia kind of has it. Michigan has it. So it's, we're going to be who we've been. We're not changing. But there's no merger. There's no, collaboration that's going on. And because of that, it is a little weird. I mean, you've got competitive sites on the same network. But we're just going to keep doing us. We're going to let those guys do them. If you have a subscription to both, that's really the only way you're going to be able to post on both. But if you have a subscription, say to us, you can read all their stuff. You just can't post on their board, which is, I think, a lot of our users have proven that's for the best. And look, I know there's some hard feelings over there. You can tell it by some of the messaging. And they deserve to have hurt feelings the way that, some of our posters have treated them. So I get it. And I would just say, painting Scoop with a broad brush, as being against them, we're not. I mean, you can go check this right now. Parker and I are following each other on Twitter, on X. So we've talked. We've had very civil conversations. I've always said that I think he does a really good job. And there's things out there. He's beaten Josh on stuff lately. And, Josh will beat him on stuff, in the future. And it's going to go back and forth. So, but like I said, no hard feelings towards them or their subscribers or anybody. And, we're not going to say anything bad about their site or their users, or we're just going to do what we do and keep doing it the best we can, and trying to maintain our reputation as being one of the most, not just Oklahoma, but one of the most reliable college sports sites on the internet. And I think we can boldly claim that, and we've earned it. So there you go. That's all I'll say. Josh, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, not particular. I mean, it, like you said, it's a weird scenario. I get why people have questions. There's stuff that we just can't answer. It's kind of the same deal when we moved to On3 and people were hearing rumors and that kind of stuff. And you're like, we can't talk about it. We just can't.
I will say this, we prepared, we knew way ahead of this happening that it was going to happen. And we just kind of, the best thing was to let it happen and for people to be like, what the hell is going on? That was just going to happen. Putting stuff out there before wasn't going to help anybody. And like you said, Josh, there are questions that we can't answer, but we're prepared. Nothing has changed with us. We still have a very long-term contract with On3. We've even, shored up some things in it with this happening. So, On3 was great. Shannon Terry, Will Crawl, the president, Andy, that handles all the finances stuff. They were great to us, and they always have been. And we have a great relationship with On3 and love working with them. Love the work that Shannon Terry does, the vision that he has, the passion that he has. And I can't say that there weren't some passionate phone calls along the way that happened throughout this process, but we're all on the same page. There you go. All right, let's start off the pod because, Josh, you're getting ready, like you said, for some vacation. We will, be back again. Don't worry, we'll be back again next week. We'll get some time off this weekend with families. And but, mainly, I think the big story, and we did a YouTube show on it yesterday just because it was such a big deal. And I don't know if you expressly mentioned this, George, but you literally got 50 minutes of one-on-one time with John Mateer, and I don't think there's nobody else that's gotten that kind of access.
Yeah, it was awesome. Definitely worth the 11-hour horrific driving down there trip to talk to John, because he saw me right away and was like, "I can't believe you're here," and I was like, "Neither can I. Can I have some of your time?" And he's like, "Yeah, ask me whatever." So sat down with him for, like you said, 50 minutes, almost an hour, really. And he was great. We talked about all sorts of stuff. And
you said all the other media, like, just...
I mean, it was all there.
Manning.
I mean, it was a ton of Texas media for Arch Manning, and then there was quite a few local media because...
was Nussmeier there?
Oh, yeah. Nussmeier was there, and a lot of local media from Baton Rouge and New Orleans were there to cover him, as well as a couple other guys. But those two, Garrett Nussmeier and Arch Manning, got all of the attention, and so that left me with John Mateer for, like you said, about 50 minutes alone, and just talking about. I don't want to give away too much because I'm writing some pretty big stories. The first one will be out tomorrow on him, but
don't. I'll tell you what. Let me throw some stuff out there so to keep you from having to just talk about what he said. But I know, and you in the conference room, you've read some of the quotes to Eddie and I. And the one thing that I take from my kind of one big takeaway from your meeting with him is we've talked so much about, can this offense succeed? Can it, will it succeed? How good will Mateer be? Like, in his mind, I don't think there's any question that he's coming in here and he's going to play really, really well.
Yes.
At a very high level and be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
When you wanna grow your list size, pop up like it's hot, pop up like it's hot, pop up like it's hot. And when you gotta boost your revenue, pop up like it's hot, hey, pop up like it's hot, pop up like it's hot. Pick your favorite template, you can tailor to your brand. They're MailChimp-erific, you're gonna be a fan. MailChimp your marketing with our new customizable pop-ups.
Yes, the confidence that he has is oozing from him is the word. And I know there's been several people I've talked to about how he oozes this confidence. It's clear, like the way he talks about himself and the way he talks about his teammates and just this offense under Ben Arbuckle. I think they believe they're going to set the world on fire this year. And I don't want to say that like they understand the challenges. Like that's one thing too that was constantly brought up. He understands and knows how tough this schedule is and playing in the SEC, how difficult it's going to be. But they truly believe they've got some really good players and a really good system and that they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. Mic drop.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm sorry. I was texting Harry to tell him to come get a paycheck. By the way, people want you to pronounce Harry's last name, Eddie.
It's Harry to me. I mean, I'll have to talk to him. Get the right pronunciation.
I'm pretty close. I haven't, because you know how like Greek. I assume he's a Greek family, from a Greek family. That name, maybe.
Gotta be that name.
Because of the loose, but like it's Limberopoulos, or it might be Limberopoulos. I don't know. That's the only thing that I'm unsure of. But you know how it is, Eddie.
Sure
when you have a weird last name, you kind of stop caring if people pronounce it right.
It makes no difference to me.
See, but we've talked about this before. This is the difference between Eddie and most people. I have a shit-ass last name, and I'm really like I don't care at all. Like I couldn't agree more. I don't mind if you mess up my last name. I totally get it. It's not easy to do. At the same time, like I really try hard to get other people's names right, and Eddie couldn't give a flying shit. And I wish I had that energy. I just don't have it.
So you do care when people mess up your name?
No. I do not care if you mess up my name. I try and get their names right. Like I work really hard, like to
especially Nigerian kids and stuff.
Yeah, God, though. Do you guys have like certain, like, whether it's African or whether it's like Swedish, like certain names I just really struggle with, and for some reason it usually is the Nigerian kids. Like their names for some reason are really hard for me to spit out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean. The thing is, when you're on the beat, though, you generally kind of figure it out. I mean, I think I would say that Joseph Ibiloye, whatever, was the one that no one ever really figured out.
Yes.
Because, and I remember, like, Bobby Jack was so sure that his name was this. And then you'd go to Bob, and he'd say it was this. And then you go to Joseph, and he'd say it in a way that you're just like, I don't really know how he just pronounced that.
And there are kids that I swear I don't think they're cruel. I just think they're having a total laugh with us assholes, and they're just like, they say it 3 different ways to 3 different
mess
people.
with
Because
you.
there's kids
Yeah.
I know I had on camera saying their name one way, and then you guys will come to me like 2 years later, and you're like, Josh, that's not right. It's this. And I'm like, I know it is. Like, I know I asked him. Like, I'm always really, really sincere about that.
Atapoju, Atabaro away. See, that's that last part. There's that little last part in his that he says differently than everybody else. And it's the WORE. Yeah.
Like, that he doesn't like the PJ is almost cruel. Like, that's mean. Because the both of them together, that's a hell of a lot to spit out.
Yeah. I think Atapoju is pretty easy.
This is great podcasting information.
Okay, George, you run the podcast. What are we talking about?
Well, we were having a good discussion, you know. Eddie was going to ask me something, but I don't remember what it was.
You want to keep talking about Manning?
I mean, not really. There's not much else to talk about.
You have so many stories coming out. I was trying to, just let that happen.
Yeah.
You going to shave for the wedding?
Yes, Carrie.
You have any other goddamn questions?
What do you, well, give me another takeaway then. One really big takeaway for you from the Manning Academy.
Hey, we'll go with this. I know that something George and I have talked about, but I just find like more into John Mateer's like arrival to Norman so fascinating. I know that you were going over some of the high school stuff. Like Little Elm, I did not realize, Josh, how bad they were at football. And I think a lot of it has to do with competing in one of the higher classifications in the state of Texas.
Well, and they're
in
a
the
new
UIL,
school.
but
Little Elm just blew up right next to Frisco.
They were. So I was telling Eddie this stat. The 4 years before Mateer showed up there, they were like 14-27. And the first 2 years of the coach that ended up being Mateer's coach, they were 1-19 in his first 2 years. They were terrible.
And Josh, who was there was a defensive back that committed to OU from Little Elm that ended up going to where did he end up?
Texas, Ryan Watts.
Okay. And
Ryan Watts committed to OU, then he committed to Ohio State, and then he ended up at Texas.
But when he came out as a prospect, it was like, oh my God, Little Elm has a big-time football player.
Mateer's best season there, they went 5-5 his senior year.
It's crazy. I just think it's fascinating to see somebody like that. And then, obviously he went on and kind of made a name for himself. But stepping into Oklahoma, I know he's told you before, but I can't imagine that this ever crossed his mind that this was even a possibility, let alone the reality that was going to happen.
Yeah, and he didn't grow up like an OU fan, despite, Little Elm's only 2.5 hours from Norman. He really wasn't an OU fan, he told me. But and he viewed it from, the outside, when all this stuff was going down, and he thought about, transferring and things like that. He never really thought that Oklahoma was going to be an option until everything happens as quickly as it did. So, it's a pretty incredible story. This kid, he didn't have a Power 5 offer until January of his senior year, after his senior season. And it was Washington State that came in, and Eric Morris, who was the coach at Incarnate Word, who was going to Washington State, that offered him. And he just took it because he was he hadn't even visited Pullman before he committed to them, because he was just I just believe that I'm going to be a Power 5 quarterback, and he's kind of made it happen. It's pretty remarkable. He was committed to Central Arkansas for a year, and that's where he was going to go. And I talked to some folks at Central Arkansas, and they said that when they turned on his tape from his junior year, they couldn't believe that no one had offered him yet. That was his first offer. And it's kind of insane to think that he could have been at Central Arkansas, and now he's playing at Oklahoma.
What I'm looking forward to most is just kind of you telling that story of, how he viewed Oklahoma, and, and it's going to show you.
And some of the conversations.
That OU is really kind of it was not magical, but the fact that he's even here took so many things to happen.
Yeah.
In order for it to, him to land here.
And I'm going to do several features. The one tomorrow will be largely about his high school and the recruitment and how he kind of grew into this type of quarterback that he is. And then eventually I want to write one, just the kind of the behind the scenes of how he got to OU, specifically over the last few months is pretty crazy. And I'll just say this, the amount of former OU quarterbacks that have spoken to John Mateer in the last 6 months is pretty remarkable. And some of the names that you probably wouldn't anticipate have reached out to him. And I think that's pretty cool. And I know that they've been a pretty big help. I know we talked about Baker back when he came on his visit. That played a big part in his recruitment, but I'll just say there's been several other guys that have reached out and talked to him since then about what it means to be the quarterback in Oklahoma, which I think is pretty cool.
I think one of the things George was saying earlier is Josh and I need better focus, not rambling on about Nigerian names. And you know what? I should contact Will up at Cody Drug RX because he can help you with that. He can help you if you're looking for more energy, better focus, or you're just looking to stay ahead of the game. Also, you can check out NAD Plus injections from Cody Drug. It's the really kind of a little bit of a youth formula that a lot of people in Hollywood are using. So it's all over social media. But you know what? You don't have to go out and see a specialist out in L.A. It's quick and easy. Just head to CodyDrugRx.com, book a short telehealth visit, and your NAD Plus injection or nasal spray ships out the very next day. And look, they've invested heavily. They custom compound everything in their state-of-the-art sterile lab, including specialized medication for men's health, weight loss, anti-aging, and more. And look, I know some of you guys have reached out. They love working with Oklahoma med spas and clinics, so if you're in healthcare, they're ready to team up. That's CodyDrugRx.com. Feel better faster. And go check them out on Instagram, CodyDrugRx. A lot of great advice there on supplements and what to take to help you feel better throughout each of your days. Now, the Thunder, as we mentioned, has won a championship, and because of that, you're benefiting greatly from Mr. Eddie Radosevich over here.
You definitely are. Our good friends over at Enjoy Vision. When the Thunder rolls, LASIK strikes. Oklahoma City brought home the title. Now it's your turn to score big with LASIK at Enjoy Vision for $20.25 per eye. Schedule your free consultation today and seal the deal with LASIK. EnjoyVision.com. This is where you LASIK.
And that really helps. I don't know if the Unity program, Unity uniforms are being sunset, but you need LASIK to read those numbers from the press box because it's almost impossible.
Haven't been up to the press box in a long time, but I take your word for it. Yeah.
Is it not hard on the field to separate the numbers or name? But it says Unity on the back of them all, but
I don't know.
I'm just saying that's the thing to me that you need really good vision for.
I did get a good question in my mailbag this week. What are they going to do about Giovanni and Jaden Gibson's
J.O.
in the back of their jerseys?
J.A.
J.O. Who's J.O.?
They're both
Giovanni.
J.A.
They're both J.A.
Oh, J.A. So it's going to be J.A.V.
and J.A.Y., which is also confusing. Y and
the V and the Y will look similar.
Yes. I kind of think they should just put their first names on the back.
I think Jaden is going to be so much skinnier looking in a uniform than
Giovanni
is.
I know that. I mean, you're going to be able to tell the difference between them, but it's just an interesting, I wonder, the equipment manager having to deal with that issue. What's it going to be?
Yeah. The one thing that you won't have a problem is telling Mateer from the other quarterbacks because he's just so much bigger.
By the way, I do want to say, and this is in my mailbag today, that speaking to some people, Jaden and Giovanni have both not been big participants in summer workouts so far. So I would not anticipate them being
ready to go at the beginning.
I don't know. I don't want to say that just yet because you just never know. I think there's a better chance Giovanni, is out there than Jaden. And Giovanni's injury is a much cleaner healing process than Jaden's. And so we'll see is what I'm going to say. I know a lot of people have been asking me, what's the update? Well, I can tell you they haven't been huge participants in summer workouts because they haven't been able to move a whole lot.
Who did Mateer single out that he's been working with?
Keontae Lewis. And that was an interesting one because we didn't hear his name a lot in spring. He was dealing with a groin injury, but Mateer did single him out as somebody that he's been working with and somebody that he thinks could play a pretty big part in the offense. They feel like they have several guys at receiver and running back.
It's just, to me, are these guys that they recruited ever going to step up,
Yeah, like Kearney, Carry On.
Yeah. I mean, they have to give them something. Or it just doesn't work.
Have we heard much on Carry On?
No.
I felt like there was always buzz last year, and then he never really had that moment where you were like, oh, okay, this is
He
like
played well
Navy.
against
He was
Navy.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played a lot against Navy. I mean, if he doesn't show you something in fall camp, don't you have to consider maybe running him in a little at tight end?
What?
He's big enough.
Zion Kearney?
No.
Carry on.
Carry on. I don't know.
I don't know if he's tall enough. I
It's
don't
not
think
like these guys have
thick
been around
enough,
for
no.
3 years and done nothing. I mean, they got thrown into a really shitty situation a year ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Is
don't
that wrong,
think
Josh?
he wants any part of that.
Being put at tight end, yeah.
No, I know that was something they had to convince him of in recruiting, is that they weren't going to immediately move him to, because Eddie, do you remember we were there that day when they slid him over to tight end at camp a little bit, and he was not that was not what he was interested in. And when I went and saw him, you could tell he would block. It wasn't like he wasn't, but he wasn't that guy that you're like, man, once he puts on 20 pounds, he'd be a monster. You were just like, he'll get in your way. He'll do what he has to do to block you.
Yeah. It's the NIL era, Josh. Put up or shut up.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, I again, like, to me, if I'm a player, I'm like, yeah, move me where you need to. Like, I love guys. I talk about that all the time. A guy that can move. If it doesn't work here, you can slide him here, and he'd be fine. It's one of the things I love about Deacon Schmidt, the new commitment, is that he can, if it didn't work out at tackle, he'd have no problem playing guard.
I wonder how much.
Absolutely work.
Yeah, I wonder how much the personnel office will push for those kinds of things, like position changes. Like, I would assume that they would just approach Venables about it and just see what he thought. And then, but I don't think you can approach, I don't know, maybe you can approach the position coach, but I don't think it's really up to them. I mean, I think that's what I like about this is like you have a personnel department that's looking at, okay, what's DeMarco Murray's rotation like at running back? And why is this guy getting more carries than this guy? Or why aren't we trying this guy enough? Like, do we get to that point having a front office to where they're, in a way, kind of mingling or, kind of meddling in roster decisions?
You really want to move someone to tight end?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I mean, we haven't seen really any. I mean, I didn't see anything in the spring from him where I was like, oh, that looks good.
From Carry On?
Yeah.
I mean, what did we?
We didn't see much.
We didn't
though,
see anything.
to be fair. But
you
we also
see
didn't hear.
Eli-
We didn't hear anything either, right? I think that's what you're saying. Is like we heard stuff about
You heard
Isaiah
tons of stuff about
Satania or Giovanni
Elijah.
Gibson or Elijah Thomas. Those type of guys. Even Deion Burks at the end. We didn't hear a ton about
And
guys
Emmett's
like
not
Ivan
one
Carry On
to,
or
like-
Zion Kearney.
Emmett will, if somebody's doing well, he'll go to Twitter or X and say it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. We'll just see. I think fall camp though is a better indicator of what's going to happen, and who's
And
gonna
being able to
contribute.
work with Mateer over the summer.
Yeah, and I think that's been a big emphasis. I can also tell you that the early reviews on Jaydn Ott in the weight room are pretty impressive as well.
Yeah.
And I know it's cliche to say, but like the thing that was sent to me is first one in, last one out every single day. And I know that that's like, you hear that about all the time, but to hear that about your running back that you just picked up in the spring portal, I think is somewhat noteworthy.
Building that culture.
I think there's certainly a pretty good vibe, I would say, around the locker room, especially on the offensive side of the ball. There's definitely more confidence there than there was a year ago.
Sorry, George. Do you feel like, because Mateer, we've talked about it, all the Mateer content, J.D. Piquel's doing something almost every day. I don't feel like most people have given the Jaydn Ott situation, have talked about that enough and how big that could be, because, guys, you could make a very real case. Now, I know Ott didn't play last year. He's beat up quite a bit, but you could argue he has accomplished more than Mateer has. He just was a year removed from it. The huge sophomore year he had at Cal, there were people that thought he was going to be the first back taken last year. That was a conversation that was happening a year ago at this point. So I feel like, I'll see people rank, the running back rooms or whatever, and I'm like, I get that beyond him, there's some questions. So maybe you don't have him over a group that has 2 or 3 guys that you're really familiar with. But there's a very real case that he could be the SEC's best back next year. Like, I legitimately believe that.
It's just hard with all this stuff to, like, be like, oh, yeah, they're going to be good. Like, even talking to Mateer down there, like, am like, okay, like, yeah, that, like, makes you think that, okay, they could be really, really good next year. But it's just that thought in the back of your head of how bad it was a year ago that, like, I just can't get over. Like, and then you hear things about, oh, Jaydn Ott's doing this. Like, they feel really good about this guy or that guy. And it's like, I got to see it to believe any of it at this point.
It's the trepidation of how bad they were a year ago on offense. And then, I think over the course of the first 3 years of Brent's tenure, how bad the thing's just been as a whole, that they haven't been able to find a way to play complementary football. And, I think that that's a reason for everybody's pause before saying that, this offense is going to be really, really good.
It's just gotten to a point where it's
just good. I'll take good.
Yeah, and it, you want to believe in a lot of it, but it's just gotten to the point where anything they say, whether it's Mateer down at Manning Passing Academy or at media days here in the next, couple weeks, like, it's just, you just kind of take all of it with a grain of salt to be like, okay, what is it actually going to look like?
Well, and I think that's normal. I mean, look, you're going to have people that are like, why are you guys so negative on this team? They're going to be great. Like, anybody with that's a fan of this team, that's watched every game, that's gone to every game, like, you're a little bit, shell shocked. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop sometime.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao, a new kind of flavored sparkling water, the kind made with real fruit juice, a pinch of Sicilian salt, and the sparkle of the Italian sun. With no added sugar and just 10 or less calories per can, enjoy. With love, from Italy. By San Pellegrino Ciao now.
Well, it's just like you said, the fans, oh, this team will be great. There's also a large amount of fans that anytime we say something positive, is like, oh, I'll remember this when they're losing every game.
I just think it's going to look better on offense, which, is going to be, I mean, look, it was awful last year. I mean, we were talking about yesterday how it was the 1 year anniversary of the welcome to the SEC party.
It's crazy to think that was just a year ago. It feels like it was 3 years ago.
How much we've all gone through.
We were on Feinbaum. I don't even want to go back and watch that Feinbaum segment because I guarantee you we're sitting up there saying, hey, I don't think we were just hyping up Jackson Arnold, but we were like, hey, there's a belief that Jackson Arnold can be this great quarterback, and this season largely hinges on his play. And it did in a lot of ways.
And he wasn't a great quarterback.
I think we know how that turned out.
So it's crazy how much has changed in a year.
What's the one game in your mind from last year that still is just like, I can't believe
Missouri,
yeah.
I say it.
We did this like a month ago. We had this exact podcast like a month ago.
It's South Carolina for you, Josh?
Yep, it's South Carolina. I've never seen a team dead 4 minutes into a game. I mean, just dead.
Yeah.
They had no prayer.
Yeah, 21-0. I think at the same time, though.
And it was 21-0. It wasn't like it was 40. It was just with that offense, you knew this game's over.
Yeah. But it's still pretty incredible to be up by 7 with 2 minutes left in regulation and lose by 7 in regulation.
They had in 1 year...
It's almost impossible, I feel like.
They had in 1 year, like, arguably 3 of the worst losses that I can remember in my lifetime in terms of, like, blowing a game or losing to a team they should have never lost to, or, like, losing in a fashion that has never happened before.
I mean, I know that there were some, like, circumstances that went into everything at the end of the season, too, but even the bowl game.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, Navy's one of them.
That's as bad as it gets.
Yeah. Navy, Missouri, South Carolina are 3 games that, like, you could make an argument should be in, like, the top 20 worst losses in program history, all in one season.
Just by the factors that went into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you weren't a lot like you were paying bad teams. You just were so miserable on the day.
Yeah.
And, we talk about, how everything has shifted in the SEC, and we've seen, like, the quarterback lists that have come up. And what was Mateer, 5 on the what was that?
He was technically 2nd, but he was listed 6th.
Okay.
There was 2 guys or 3 or 4 guys that were like 92 or something, and then he was in that next kind of grouping at 91.
It's crazy to think, like,
that was the college football
like
football
EA
game.
Sports.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, I feel like when Mateer transferred to OU, there was a lot of like positive talk, like, oh man, he's a really good get for OU, like he's a good quarterback. It's now reached a level where it's like everybody's saying, is he the best quarterback in college football? Is he
in unison? They're saying.
Like a top 3, top 5, like what? Like it's reached a whole new level of expectations that I don't want to say I'm worried he's not going to meet, but it's a lot. It's a lot for a guy that, I know he was really good at Washington State last year, but can he be a Heisman contender? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, what's crazy about the SEC, though, is just it's been such a change. I mean, you had starting quarterbacks last year in the SEC that, are gone now. I mean, like the hype around Nico was unbelievable, and he didn't live up to it. And then, he basically has ruined his career, and he's got to rebuild it at UCLA. But there's nobody out there saying Nico is a top 5 quarterback this going into the season, or top 10 even, I don't think. And then, Jackson Arnold, we don't think he's any good, but Auburn fans have belief that he is. And it's just, you take DJ Lagway, I mean, I think he's going to blow up. I mean, I think Nussmeier, we know, is a good quarterback. Arch is a good quarterback. Like, he's a good quarterback.
We don't know.
I think he's a good quarterback.
I think he's a good quarterback, but
I don't know if he's elite.
I don't know if I can stick with Feinbaum and say that he's the best quarterback since Tim Tebow in college football. I mean, he's made 2 starts. I do think he's going to be good. I'm not saying that he's going to be awful.
I do love that take, though, because
it's a big brain take.
That's
why he has the ESPN
everyone
show, I guess.
mad, basically.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not have some type of reaction to that?
It's a great take.
All he had to do was find a way to get one of the Sanders family in there, and the SEO was just unbelievable.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, yeah, I mean,
Arch is also OU fans are going to like this, but just like being around, him at Manning Passing Academy and his family and stuff, pretty likable kid. Like, he's not like one of those guys that you're like, oh, I'm rooting against like this kid in terms of him as a person.
I don't think that family would allow him to grow up a shithead.
No.
And I mean,
and he is talented. He can throw the football, man.
And what was the coward take? Like, how good could Arch be if he couldn't start ahead of? Who gave that take?
Spurrier.
Was that? Oh, that was Spurrier.
It was Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
It's always good here for the old ball coach.
So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's just did I see that Brock Vandegrift just retired? Like he's like, I'm not playing anymore.
He might have, but that kind of sounds right. I don't really remember.
I mean, he more or less did it last year.
Yeah. All right, so Josh, let's you've had the recruiting report early this week. I know it's kind of the big thing that's out there is 1, defensive line recruiting, and 2, in-state recruiting, which I don't know that we shouldn't have said that we saw this coming with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and in-state, I would say middling prospects. I mean, good prospects, but not the elite, not the Cooper Hackett type. But like OSU's just going to pay more. I mean, their reach as a program, it's not national. I mean, it's down into Texas. It's in Oklahoma. You can go over to Arkansas. Got some good players from there. Kansas when you need to. But and they'll go to California for a quarterback here or there, Arizona. But they kind of cherry picking the national guys, and it's usually national guys that aren't like on the verge of being maybe on the verge of being 5 stars, but not quite breaking through. But I mean, to them, an in-state prospect like Overton is more. They'll be willing to pay more because OU is they're looking at a bigger pool of prospects. To me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a take that OSU fans are going to get pissed about. But to me, it just seems like, we should have seen that coming. That they were willing to pay, over market value for kids at home.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be pissed, and I mean I get it, but it doesn't change that it's true. I mean, like, if Oklahoma gets Caden Jones and Taj Overton, it's okay. They got a legacy and a guy that everybody thought OU had let on for 6 months. Like, it's not a big deal. When OSU gets Caden Jones and Taj Overton, that's a splash. That's a big deal. That's akin to Oklahoma getting Bo Bentley. Like OU fans responded to Bo Bentley. Caden Jones would have been like, hey, great to have him, excited, Keywan's kid, the whole thing. It's not to say that they wouldn't care. It just is not going to rally people in the way that it does for Oklahoma State. So, because like you said, Kerry, they're recruiting at different levels. Like, right now in the team rankings, Oklahoma is, sitting at 18th, I believe right now, 20th. There's been a few new commitments. And Oklahoma fans are kind of like, ooh, I don't know how this is going. Oklahoma State's at 47, and they're throwing a party. Like, it's two different animals in what you're talking about. So I think that's fair. But again, like, I would guess Taj and Caden are good, solid players for Oklahoma State. So I don't want to – that's not about, like, they can't play. I just think when Oklahoma is looking for what they want to do and trying to live within budgetary restraints – they've got to make some choices sometimes, and if you don't want to play extra for that in-state guy, if you don't think he's that level, that's different. Now, this conversation next year with Cooper Hackett, we better not be having that conversation because that's different math. That's not the same thing.
Josh, is there any chance at all that maybe they go back to any of these guys in state? And the one that I keep thinking of, and maybe I'm crazy, is Mason James, just because they've missed out on some wide receivers and you got one right down the street. But is there any chance they go back at any of these kids in Oklahoma?
George, I feel the same way, and I can't ever decide if it's just like because I like Mason James so much. I mean, he was my number one guy in the state in this class in the first rankings release, and I've seen, not a ton that would change my mind about that. I just think Mason's one of those guys that he's not huge. He's not going to run 4.4, but he's a really, really good football player. And, like, I get that that's not what's going to be valued sometimes, and that's not the trait stuff that we talk about. So, like, I get that he doesn't fit the model, and if you go get the Jaden Pettits and you go down the list, all the guys, Dallas Dickersons, the guys OU has missed out on, okay, fine. You made the choice and it worked out for you. But now it's kind of like, okay, like you've got one wide receiver commitment. You're hoping to get, at least one of two between Davian Gross and Jordan Clay. If you miss out on those, then I don't think there's anything to say other than that was a mistake. I mean, Mason James, to pass on him, who you were going to get him, to make that was just a mistake in the way you did things. And again, you can't see the future, so I understand. It's hindsight being 2020, but if you felt like you could get back in there and say, hey, we were wrong. We screwed this up. If you'd like to take a look at us, we'd still like to have you come down. I know he loves Emmett Jones, so I mean, like, maybe.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
But he's the one that sticks out to me as a real possibility because the rest of the positions, I mean, like, as far as guys that have already been offered, I don't know that I see that Oklahoma couldn't go get someone similar. I think the one, I come back to all the time is Mason's teammate at Norman North is Daniel McMorris, as far as a guy that hasn't been offered, but I still think is possible in the future.
Let's go back to your trip through Oklahoma. Out of all the guys that you saw, or even the camps, I mean, what's the main takeaway from the offers that have went out? Is it that they're willing to put more offers out there for younger players, even if they don't know how it's going to end up in the end, but still having a couple seasons to play for guys like that, but just kind of your thoughts on the way they went about offering guys, and were you surprised that some guys didn't get offers?
Not a lot, because I thought they were pretty aggressive with their offers. Like, you had a guy in a perfect example is Torrey Blaylock's brother, Trent, who has a Texas offer, has good offers. I'm certainly not saying he wasn't worthy of that, but he didn't get to go very much. He tweaked his hamstring pretty early in camp and didn't really go. So My guess is that they had seen more than enough on tape. They wanted to get him there. They wanted to size him up. They probably, like, I'm almost certain he ran. I didn't see him, but I don't have any reason to believe that he didn't run. And being a Blaylock, I have no doubt that he ran well. And then they're just kind of like, okay, like, we kind of know what we've got here. And they can watch him. He's just going into his junior year. There's time to continue to evaluate and see what you think. But I thought they were pretty aggressive. For those, for members, people thinking about membership, whatever, I literally went through all the new camp offers as well as several other offers that they've made over the last month. A little overdue, so it's a lot to take in. There's a lot of information where you can read on all these guys. Guys, the one that blew me away was the Braden Bonnet kid from Missouri City Ridgepoint, the linebacker. He also got a little he tweaked his quad in during drills and stuff, so he didn't get to do much of one-on-ones. Guys, this guy is a junior Olympian in the 100, 200, and 400 and projects as a linebacker. He is a freaky looking dude. Like, just, you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot here to like. And it's like his tape I'm watching is absolutely freshman tape. So you don't want to go too crazy, but you're just like, this kid's on another planet for most of these guys he's facing. And, and he's playing in Houston, playing schools like Bridgeland where Ryan Foje's from. I mean, so he's not playing nobody programs. He's playing good teams, but there was some pretty impressive stuff for a young guy on his tape.
Yeah, I think maybe I walked in over to the track as they were working on that kid, and if that was the kid, like, that's a big dude to be, on all those events, 100, 200, all that stuff. So,
and guys, the speaking of tape, and I guess this is just the Norman North hour. I forget how good Ben Kolar is on tape. Like, when you watch him, it's just like, this guy's really damn good. The 2027 tight end that OU has offered, obviously Charlie's little brother, John's little brother, that guy, and it makes sense. When you watch him run routes and his feel for stuff, you're like, that's college level stuff. Like, he's already doing things where you're just like, he's sitting down in zones and he's finding little soft spots behind the linebackers, like just stuff that I'm sure he's talked about with Charlie and has learned and watched his brother and been at so many practices since he was 8 years old, that kind of stuff. So I couldn't be more impressed. And, it's one of those things where I saw him, I thought he was a little on the short side, and I think I let that overwhelm what I see on tape, which is just a really, really good football player.
Yeah, and going back to the aggressive part of the offers, like, when we sat there and watched Jax Wilkerson, it's like, okay, he's not ready, but, and they end up offering him, there's no way that he's capable of playing, this level of college football, especially in the SEC. But they're, looking at his dad's obviously Jimmy Wilkerson, the potential there, the size already that's there. So, that showed me the aggressiveness, because I watched him. We all watched him. We were like, yeah, he's just not quite there yet. It's going to take a while.
Well, and I think, and I know what you're saying. Like, they're gonna offer him. That day will come.
Yes,
they haven't done it yet.
Okay,
but yeah, you're right. Like, again, with Jax, he's just so big. Like, and it's not, like, you're like, okay, he's tall. No, he's going into his freshman year and he's 260 pounds and, like, carries it really well. It's crazy to see a guy like that. And again, obviously he's got great genetics and all that stuff from Jimmy. But just he is what you draw it up as a freshman, high school offensive lineman. He reminded me of the Kane Dial kid from the Battleground Academy. I thought he was every bit as big. And that kid's got a ton of offers and is 2028, a whole year ahead of Jax.
Yeah, I think I confuse him with the Broken Arrow kid?
Yes, you're the Devin Smith kid.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think I made note of, like, and I was, when I was writing this offer story that he's obviously in, guys, that's the earliest offer Oklahoma's ever made in state in my time of doing this. Like, it used to be kind of Andrew Rame and Braden, Bray Walker. I don't know why I was trying to say Braden. They were very similar, very end of their freshman year of high school, going into their sophomore years. They got offered by OU. I think it was, I did the math one time. I want to say it was in like 20 days of each other or something like that. So Devin Smith, who has yet to take a high school course, is absolutely a new record.
He's a
for
monster.
Oklahoma and in-state offers.
I mean, that kid's so good already.
Yeah, and again, guys, you talk about it. In a 3-year run, you're going to have Cooper Hackett, Jax Wilkinson, and Devin Smith, and Caden Penny as well. So, like, that is, if OU could do some work on the offensive line, you've really got something going forward there.
What do you guys think a 9-win season does for OU, recruiting-wise?
I think it'd be huge.
Does it
solidifies what they're saying,
does
probably,
that make
what they're
them
trying to sell?
Does that put the expectations of a top 10 class for sure next year? I mean, obviously we have to figure out what the NIL stuff is going to be, and, you know, if there's any, you know, people are going. I mean, it's just like the deal where, what was it, Open Doors or whatever, said that it was the largest day ever because everybody was front-loading contracts before this deadline to where they, you know, start getting examined by Deloitte or whatever. So, I mean, even if it's the Wild Wild West, I mean, 9 wins, I got to think that gets the donors excited. That gets people excited to maybe pay more for rosters if that's still going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be everything. It would be everything to this program to be able to get over, because I think 9 wins gets you into a playoff. 9 wins would, and if you get into a playoff, I think that, you know, the discussions about the tenure of what whatever's going to happen with the head coaching position, that's gone. I think it would mean the world. I think that's why at points throughout this summer, I know Georgia's kind of referenced it, this could be one of the bigger seasons in program history, just in terms of where they're at right now and where they're trying to get to.
You'd probably have to make just guessing that the offense did really well, you'd probably have to make Ben Arbuckle one of the more higher paid offensive coordinators in the country.
I would imagine if they win 9 games, that means he's probably in Arkansas for the Broyles Award, at least as a finalist. I don't know if he would win it, but I definitely think that type of turnaround would signify he's done a pretty damn good job. And it would probably also mean that John Mateer's sniffing around trying to get to New York City by the end of December. Or November.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you left Knoxville and you're 6-3, and you're looking at Alabama, Missouri, and LSU to close out, I struggle to think Oklahoma, like, it's just being in those kind of conversations, because I know 6-3 doesn't sound sexy coming out of it, but that would have meant you have beat some grouping of Michigan, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, and Ole Miss. Like, you've won at least a couple of those games. And that's a great point to start from. And Tennessee as well. So, like, you're doing some good work against legitimate top 15, top 10 type programs, and you've collected a couple wins. You go out and get one or two. I mean, just don't go over against that final 3. You finish out 7-5, even that, with that group of wins to start with. I think you'd be okay. But if you head into LSU and you're 8-3 and you got a chance to make the playoff, I don't know how anybody could get pissed about that. This schedule, I don't know how many people learned the lesson from last year. And I think it's because OU was so bad that everybody's like, oh, it's just because OU was bad. No, that schedule was a bear, and it's going to be nasty again this year. And I don't know that everybody's understanding, like, if OU can go 8-4, that's a pretty damn good accomplishment.
Josh, I'm sure you saw it, but the Kelly Ford, he came out with his ratings, the watchability ratings yesterday. 10 games each week through the 14-week schedule. Oklahoma's on it 9 times. And it's not just like, oh, they're 9 and 8 or 7 for each week. It's top 5 usually, including like Auburn. I mean, Auburn was number 1. I think Michigan was number 2. It kind of puts into perspective, and I know that all the analytics are out there telling us it's going to be an incredible schedule.
Guys, I mean, you look down this final run, Texas, South Carolina, Alabama, LSU. You're playing 4 teams that legitimately believe they're going to the playoff this year in the last, month and a half of the year. That's a monstrous thing to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not saying playoffs are bust, but, I mean, if you want to get this thing turned around and get headed in the right direction, I think making the college football playoff is the way to do it. Regardless of what happens to you.
To say that right now on July 2nd, it just seems unrealistic to me right now from what we know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, we have to see some games.
It seems incredibly unrealistic to think that they're going to be able to turn it around, which, if they're able to do that, it depends on what hour, I guess, you catch me, because you do look at the numbers defensively, what they did on special teams a year ago. They needed a good offense, just a good offense, not a great offense.
The last thing you want is for everyone to be hyped up about the Michigan game and then have them lose before it. I mean,
they got to beat Michigan. For any of what we're talking about to happen, they have to beat Michigan.
And Auburn. They've got to go to Texas 5-0. I believe that.
You do that, though, and then all of a sudden you look up, you're almost halfway through the season, and, I think that, like most years, what happens at the Cotton Bowl will kind of, be a good barometer on which way this season is going, what the tenor or the tone of the season is going to be.
And to your point, too, Eddie, that game ultimately, too, can either turn around your season, right? Like if you can win that game, the momentum you can carry with, or it can, if you lose that game, maybe you do use that as motivation. We saw that Texas a couple years ago. You lose that game, you can use that as motivation and turn it around after that. But the thing that you can't have is you lose that game and things go off the rails, or you win that game and you can't handle success like Oklahoma could. I mean, that game every year is just such a huge game in terms of not just the game itself and the end result, but like what it can do for your season, win or loss, and how you react to that.
George, how much do you think it helps OU? Because you talked about it, and again, we all know they didn't handle post-Texas 2023 very well at all. So how much do you think it helps that they immediately go to South Carolina? There's not that time off. There's not it's Kansas on the road and that rainy-ass, that whole setup was just kind of a perfect scenario for Kansas to lull Oklahoma to sleep in that game. Like, you're going to South Carolina, like, who's got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They kicked your ass on your home field last year. Like, I just think that is, like, if they could come out of Texas, then they shouldn't have trouble refocusing in the same way, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's, you can view it in like, if they win, let's say they beat Texas, I think there's a very good chance they could lose to South Carolina the next week.
Yeah.
If they lose to Texas, I think that you have maybe a better I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just too many mind games. I think if you're an OU fan, or if you're OU, you'd much rather have like Missouri at home the next week than going to South Carolina. But you do get it early in the morning. I don't know. It's just the Texas game, it just takes so much out of you. And, I can't imagine as a player or a coach, and you come off that high of either winning or that low of losing that game, the ability to have to turn around and play a really good opponent that, in 7 days is just, it's tough, man. And that's why, like, you gotta, like we said, you gotta win the first 5 games, because if you can do that, then you can, obviously you want to win OU Texas, but you can live with the result. Like, either way, like, you can live with it because you got those early wins and that you can beat good football teams. And I do think that the OU Texas game will be much more competitive this year. I mean, I think Oklahoma can win that game. They had no chance last year going into that week. Like, the feeling around the team of having it felt like they didn't have a chance. And I know they had just beaten Auburn, but it was pretty clear, like, I don't know, 10 minutes into that game that they were pretty outmatched. And I know they were in it at times. The first quarter they were in it, but you could just feel it. And I don't think it'll feel like that this year.
Do you see the updates they made to the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah, the press box apparently got a whole renovation too.
Where are those at?
It was on Instagram. I think
it was the
Channel
local news in Dallas.
Dallas had it up on Instagram, but the suites look really nice. Not that we'll go into them, but
and they expanded the concourses on the different levels.
Escalators now.
Escalators, and the bathrooms, I believe, are bigger and nicer. Maybe
those bathrooms, they needed that. Should have been the very first thing.
I'm excited about the press box because the Wi-Fi in there has been terrible for years.
Yeah,
and also the seats are the ones that are nailed into the ground. So,
yes,
and it looked like it was a very brief video, but it looked like there were new chairs in there. And I know that sounds like first world problems, but that is something that I've always been like, man, the Cotton Bowl's press box just sucks so much.
I mean, $140 million they're dumping into that thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's through 36 or something?
2036 is when the contract's through, which I can't imagine. I mean, them putting these renovations in, they'll continue to do that. I don't think OU and Texas will ever want to leave the Cotton Bowl as long as it's standing.
Their fans certainly don't.
Yeah.
We must protect this house.
No, but it looks, if you can, we'll post a link on the message board if we can find. I'm looking at Fair Park's website right now. They don't have any kind of updates.
I think it was Channel 5 in Dallas, though, that did like a behind the scenes.
Check those out.
I think it might still be on my Instagram story. Check that out. Okay. So, football-wise, we expect that the team will report July 30th, and maybe first practice will be about July 31. We haven't heard anything officially from OU on that, but we certainly haven't heard anything about media. And what will that entail? I know last year we were talking about it in the conference room the other day. Like, we did have a media day with some of the newcomers that were mid-semester, or that weren't mid-semester transfers.
There were the spring portal guys, and the guys that came in the summer, the freshmen, I believe.
So hopefully we'll have that again.
I mean, they got a lot of guys from the spring portal, too.
That'd give us what, like Michaela Ott?
Jermichael Carter, Tate Sandell, the defensive lineman, Ricky Lolohia. And I think that's it. I might be missing somebody. I think it was five guys.
And what freshmen weren't here for spring?
Marcus James, who I think that we had mentioned a couple weeks ago. I was just saying about at camp.
Yeah. My God.
Looks incredible.
It was him. There was two. It was Marcus and who was the other? Hang on. I'm trying to. It was C.J. Nixon.
C.J. Nixon.
Yeah.
So that'll be, hopefully that happens again. But we'll let you know as soon as we know on when media is going to start.
Media days, July 16th. Who do you guys think will be 2 weeks from today? SEC media days. Who do you guys think? I think is it three guys?
Three guys.
Who would you guess are the three?
Mateer, Troy, and
Kobe McKenzie,
and or maybe like a Robert Spears Jennings, just depending on
Thomas.
Or Mason Thomas. Yeah, I could see our Mason.
Kip Lewis, maybe.
I wonder, is it 3 or 4? I think if it's 4 guys, I think it'll be R. Mason, Kobe, Troy Everett, and John Mateer.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Be fair.
Yeah,
be a good guess.
Yeah, all those guys are pretty good.
But yeah,
pretty good talkers.
What day exactly is OU going on SEC?
July 16th, Wednesday.
All 3 of us will be out there, and that'll happen. And then George will go on his honeymoon right after that.
Yep, going to Maine.
Oh, Maine.
And it's a honeymoon, but at the same time, I will also
You're going to another wedding.
Going to another wedding while I'm in Maine.
How broke are you right now?
Broke. Please send money.
You want to give out your Venmo?
No, but our registry is stoyawedding.com.
There's still stuff left on that thing?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Bunch of cheap bastards out there.
I think we had a lot of stuff on there. We got a lot of really good gifts. So, including a nice brand new knife set from you, Carrie.
Yes.
And
very nice. Nicer than I have.
What was the thing you got me, Josh? I never know what the name of it is. It's the thing that you make bread in.
A bread maker?
Oh, no, it's a Le Creuset. I think it's how you say it.
I mean, not just bread, but I know you can make sourdough bread in it, and that's what Aaron is very much looking forward to.
The big clayware.
The Le Creuset.
2 of the nicest gifts we got.
Our guy, our guy, 3 Pieces of Pecan uses a lot of Le Creuset.
I don't know who that is.
That's
Cosby.
Yeah.
Josh never met him.
You don't follow him on Instagram, Josh? He does a lot of grilling. You would
big
enjoy that
guy
follow.
Too.
Chance
Cosby. Yeah.
Shout out.
Director of the waste
Chance.
management.
My bad.
Tournament as well.
He is indeed.
All right. Any other Wimbledon surprises while we've been on the air?
I don't think so. I haven't been watching here this afternoon, but Fritz was supposed to go this afternoon.
Oh, was he?
I think he's winning.
While we're talking about tennis, this is not tennis related at all.
What a segue.
Well, I thought of Bob because Bob's a big tennis fan. Mm-hmm. OU softball got another commit.
Yeah.
You realize how many pitchers they have on the roster next year?
A ton.
They have 8 pitchers.
They had plenty on the roster this year, but they only had one that could really pitch. So,
well, they only had, I think, 3 or 4. Bondi will be back, obviously, after she left after her freshman season, or I guess took a leave from the team, if you will. It's going to be really interesting to see how they kind of work this thing out. Obviously, the Barzone girl from LSU, I think, will be the kind of the cash cow from the portal.
So this pitcher,
she was like the number 3 from Old Miss, I believe.
So she's okay. So their ace is going to be the girl from LSU.
Yeah, or if
Barzone.
one of the girls
Freshman.
that was on the team from last year decides to be somebody.
But wasn't Barzone like one of the best in the country?
Yeah, she was really good. So. And the girl from Old Miss is really good as well. I think she led the team in strikeouts. They moved a lot of pitchers around in the circle.
3.65 ERA, 160 batters, struck out in 136 innings pitched.
Yeah, Bob has an article up on the site right now. But yeah, it is. Everybody's going after Texas Tech. Oklahoma's staying right there. I mean, they've got some proud donors that are willing to make sure that they stay on top.
Texas Tech's going to be damn good.
Yeah, they got a lot more people. And
but
then
OU didn't really lose
anybody. Texas is going to be right there too.
Yeah, I mean, OU's bringing everybody back. It's just going to be dependent upon how the freshmen make that jump into their sophomore year. They got a lot of experience last year for sure.
Those 3, I wonder what the odds you would get for someone other than those 3 winning the College World Series next year.
OU, Texas, and Tech.
Like what outside of? I mean, I know Bob mentioned Oregon's really done well as well.
Like you're saying, if you could take those 3 versus the field.
Like I wonder what the field would get. Like, because usually, obviously, it feels like that's the way it should go, but that you should bet the field. But in this case, I don't think you should. I think it's going to be one of those 3, almost certainly.
Yeah, I mean, unless you get another what was Tennessee's pitcher's name?
Oh God,
Pickens.
Carly Pickens. Yeah, unless you
Carolyn Pickens.
Carolyn.
Big softball guys.
Yeah, unless you find one of those somewhere out there in the country. But she was known. I mean, it's not like she just came out of nowhere. So, yeah, I mean, it really does. It's going to be incredible watching OU's offense next year, I think. I mean, healthy
Ella
Parker.
Very, very good. Should be very good.
Yes. A healthy Ella Parker is going to be truly fun to watch.
Also, in other non-football stuff, shout out Jeremiah Fears.
Yeah.
I think that was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Exactly how you like to see it go down.
Number 7
and the way that I thought it was cool the way he like really represented OU and talked about
100%.
OU in his interviews, the suit he wore.
Yeah.
Like that's
one of those
such
things
great
that
branding.
could be worth.
I think that's a Trae Young influence. Like, always rep your team.
I could see that.
You know.
Maybe got a little call from the GM.
Yeah.
Assistant GM or
probably.
Whatever
I mean, maybe I don't know. We need to check with William and Lauren. They made the suit. I don't know. But no, great for that. And boy, what a squad Trae Young has put together in Atlanta.
Certainly going to be interesting. I think everybody's fighting to try to get into the mix in the East. I know Atlanta and Orlando right now seem to be the teams that are trying to make that jump. The injuries on the East obviously are just incredible.
I mean, essentially, Milwaukee was like, "Yeah, we'll pay your $120 million or whatever. Just go."
It's crazy.
Just thankful I'm not a Brooklyn Nets fan or a New Orleans Pelicans fan.
Oh.
I don't know what either of those two organizations are doing.
I mean, everybody's pretty much on the come up except for like the Suns and the Pelicans, and
I don't know what the Kings are doing either.
Yeah,
just hanging out, being cool. I mean, what are the Knicks doing? They hired Mike Brown today.
Mike Brown
to build the Chicago Bulls of the last decade, and that weren't any good either. Their whole model never made sense.
It's just remarkable that Boston wins it by shooting more threes than anybody has ever done. And then the next year, the Thunder do it without threes. And now everybody's switching to trying to secure big men to compete with Dallas and Oklahoma City and Denver.
Houston.
Oh, man, Houston's a problem.
We need college football here. I'm still living in the glory of winning an NBA championship.
But that's the great thing, George. You get to talk about how everybody else is trying to catch you.
I just can't wait for college football. I think it's going to be a fascinating season.
We all feel the same.
I just think it's one of those years that...
Don't paint us as haters.
I'm not painting you guys as haters. I just am and I'm the one that brought up the NBA, but I just am super excited. I think it's one of those years that there's not one team that you're like, oh boy, they're just better than everybody. It felt like that with Ohio State last year, where it was just like they are the best team in the country, their most talented team. And this year it doesn't feel like you have that. I think it's gonna be really fun. And there's some good matchups early in the season.
There are some really good matchups.
It's gonna be fascinating to see what happens with Georgia. To me, could they take is Alabama on the come up and Georgia on the downward trajectory?
I think there's a lot of people that look at Alabama as a big bounce back year.
A lot of people believe in, like John Mateer. A lot of people believe in Ty Simpson, like people believe in John Mateer.
Yeah, and I think that Kalen DeBoer has a good enough track record that he gets a little bit of a leeway. But I think that we all know if that thing has any hint of going south, they'll be ready to pull the trigger and move on from him.
That's what I was going to say. Is there's so many intriguing places that have coaches that could end up losing their jobs by the end of the year. I mean, you think about LSU with Brian Kelly, the expectations there this year, if they don't live up to those, what's his future look like? I mean, USC with Lincoln Riley, like they're putting together one hell of a recruiting class right now. I don't know if they can hold on to it.
I was told some wild stuff about USC yesterday.
Oh, let's air it out.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't want to get sued. But apparently their NIL stuff is not all donations. Like,
what does that mean?
You know how you go to the bank and you ask for money?
They're just getting loans?
Josh, have you heard that?
There are some wild ass rumors out there. The stuff you hear. I mean, guys, this is the third straight year we've watched the SEC, USC go into the SEC area and like out recruit Georgia and Alabama and some like. How is that happen? Like, the math doesn't math. It just doesn't add up. I don't care how good your NIL is because it's not like Georgia and Alabama don't have people spending money too.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of crazy shit floating around about USC right now and how they're doing this. And you know what? Because Lincoln Riley's the coach, I'll believe just about anything you tell me.
Who's dumb question? I'm just totally blanking.
Their GM?
Who's their quarterback going to be this year?
Oh, well, they got the kid coming back that
Maeva.
Miller Moss got beat out by last year.
The Maeva kid that played at UNLV a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
They got in the portal. Again, unless somebody beats him out, but my understanding is he'll be the guy.
I have no idea who that is.
He wasn't bad. I mean, I thought he was
UNLV
pretty decent.
for a second. He played for Odom,
They really
right?
liked him at UNLV. Yeah, he played for. Yeah, he was there.
Now, where did the kid that just left UNLV in the middle of the season?
Northwestern, or did he come from Northwestern? I thought he went back east. We've looked this up before.
It's somewhere small, like not even like Liberty
Matthew
big.
Sluka.
Like it's smaller than that. Yeah,
Where did he
end up?
And this is when he entered the portal.
William and Mary, maybe.
James Madison.
Oh yeah, James Madison.
Okay.
We went to UNLV from Holy Cross.
Do you think that James Madison hit the? What was it? His brother was telling people it was going to make like people were offering him $250,000 or something like that. Something tells me James Madison didn't hit that number.
I think you played yourself, bud.
Yeah. You could have been living in Las Vegas.
At least he's not Nico.
Playing on a pretty good team.
I mean, all things considered, it worked out pretty well. He's going to start at UCLA, right?
Yeah, but his
talking about Nico,
future earnings reputation has really been damaged by all this. I mean,
it'll quickly change if he's able to go out there and find himself, right?
I mean, if he can just go win.
Well,
he's going to have to play his ass off.
But again, like, not only is he making less at UCLA than he was making at Tennessee, but the taxes are going to murder him.
In California,
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's a totally different bracket.
That's a good point.
And who knows how in debt his family is with them clamoring for more money. I mean, you know how that goes. I mean, you're not that greedy if you're not spending it. I mean,
and you've got to pay well to a top shelf advisor who clearly really led you on a good path.
George wants you to stop talking right now.
Shout out. Go.
All right, I think we've come to an end before George gets after us again for talking about stupid stuff. Anyway, anything else, guys, to add before we get out of here? Happy 4th of July. I know the board order, I'm going to send a message to On3 after this. It's all messed up. It says Sooner Scoop before Crimson Corner, and people keep clicking on Sooner Scoop and posting in there, and we don't want that either. So, just bear with us. There's going to be some glitches along the way as this changeover continues. But just know we're on the board. We're addressing all the issues, your names, the O's before your names and all that stuff. So as I said, you can always email me at cmurdoch@soonerscoop.com as well, and I'll help you out the best I can. So anyway, for Josh, for Eddie, for George, I'm Kerry. We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Unofficial 40 Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.